everybody, welcome to another true review. Today I'm bringing you Bridge Constructor on the Xbox One. Now before I start discussing anything about the game, don't adjust your sets, don't adjust your browsers or anything like that, or your apps depending on what you're watching on. There is no music on this at the moment, and that's simply because when you boot the game up, it's set off as default. I actually initially played the game thinking there was no music and it was just sound effects when you actually got to the bridge construction itself. I learned later on that is not the case, and you can actually turn the music on. Quite why the developer chose to have music off as default is beyond me, but having listened to the music, maybe that's why they turned it off. Now the very loose plot of the game is that the islands where you live have suffered some kind of disaster and all the bridges have been destroyed, and you're tasked with rebuilding those. You have a set budget to spend on each bridge and certain materials to use for each of the bridges as well. The game probably introduces you to all the materials a little bit too quickly for my liking. It starts off with giving you the basic wood material, which is one of the materials which you use as the road surface, and it can be also used to make supports as well. There is a second surface material you can use as well, which comes later on. It's steel, which is stronger. You do also have concrete pillars that you can construct, and you do also have cables as well, like you would find on suspension bridges, and that's the four materials that you do have on offer. You don't have them available to you on each and every level. Certain levels only present you with a certain few materials to actually use, and you've got to figure out if you actually want to use all of those or just concentrate on one material to build your bridge within budget. Now in order to progress, you need to build a bridge which is safe enough for two vehicles to cross. Now initially you have to get cars across to pass and continue on to the next level. However, if you want to unlock the third and final vehicle, you have to ensure that the second vehicle, which are trucks, can get across as well. Trucks are more heavier than the cars, so it requires a better construction of the bridge. Once you've managed to get the trucks across all levels on all the islands, then the third final vehicle, the tanker truck, becomes available. The tanker truck is like a giant fuel towing truck, a lot more heavier, a lot slower, so yet again the bridge needs more support, and you do actually get more budget given to you once you have unlocked the third vehicle to build extra construction and to obviously support your bridge an awful lot more. The graphics in this game are very basic. The bridges themselves, the materials are clearly defined, but the actual backgrounds as well, the graphics harken back to early PS2 kind of games. They do a job. I would have much liked to have seen maybe photographs in the background, maybe a photographic background, or maybe even a completely different style to the game, like a more cartoony style would have suited this game a lot better. I mean, this game actually is a 3-year-old iOS game that has been converted onto PC, and now we're getting it on consoles, and not an awful lot has changed since that game originally came out. I've checked out videos of the previous versions and the UI has an overall, but that leads to a problem in itself as well, which I'll go into in a moment. The sound effects, as I've mentioned, are very limited. There's only the sound of the building materials going down there, the rumbling of the trucks, and there's a crashing noise when your bridge will inevitably collapse at some point, and also the honking of the horns of the vehicles when the vehicles successfully cross the bridge. The music, once you do turn it on, you'll soon be turning it off again because it does get on your nerves very quickly. Now turning back to the game, my experience with it, I came across two problems with the game. The first being the physics engine. The physics were a law to themselves. Take an example of what you're seeing on the screen at the moment. This is a bridge late in the game on the fifth and final island, which I constructed. I tried everything to pass this, and then eventually this solution worked. It's just the wooden panels just constructed left to right and let gravity make the bridge drop. There is no way this should have worked, and rightly it failed. But then I just reran the simulation in error again. On this occasion, it passed. Now, the simulation is supposed to be the same every single time you run this. I should run this 100 times and it should either pass 100 times or fail 100 times in the same manner. And for some reason it doesn't. I ran this about 10 times and for some reason it failed on the majority of occasions, but on about 4 out of 10 occasions it did pass the level. So what's that about? That's just not consistent at all. The physics engine is just not consistent. The second problem is the UI. The UI is different from the iOS version, different from the PC versions, but it doesn't work on a console. It's very, very cumbersome, and you do find yourself flicking all over the shop, picking the wrong things, or accessing the simulation menu when you want the building materials menu. It's not very user friendly in the controls at all. So I'm going to give this game 5 out of 10. Unfortunately, this does scream a lazy, quick port of the game. The UI is atrocious. It's not really optimised for console use. They could have made it an awful lot easier to do things on this game. There is some fun to be had, and it is reasonably priced, but it does get old pretty quick. And when you are making a physics game, the physics have to be spot on, which unfortunately on this occasion, they're not. So I hope you enjoyed that review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and do follow me on my various social media pages, which you can find the links of below. It does really help me get these games as soon as possible and get these reviews to you on or before release on the majority of occasions. So thank you for watching, guys, and thank you for your continued support.